For a student, how hard would you say it is to land a job in radio, given its popularity today?
I'd be lying if I say it wasn't hard to get a job in radio, but it's about persistence. It's about a lot of it is about work experience. It's getting your foot in the door, I think. And I think if they're for work experience, for example, at a BBC local radio station, it's a really good way in. I think you know, university radio like Siren FM, or student radio, we do trawl through the Student Radio Awards for potential Radio 1 presenters. I'd be lying if we said we didn't. We do. So it's a tough industry, but the rewards are fantastic, I think, when you get in. I mean, no one ever joined the BBC to get rich, but I've been incredibly lucky. I've been around the world with the BBC, and from the Miami Winter Music Conference, South by Southwest in Texas, New York, LA, most of Europe with Radio 1. So I've been incredibly lucky, really.
Secondly, do you ever think we could see it dying out, radio?
No, I could never see radio dying, and I'll tell you the reason why. The difference in radio and television is radio is a medium that you can be doing other things while you listen to the radio. If you sit down to watch the television, or if you sit down at the computer, that's all you're doing. You can cook, you can be driving. So I never thought radio would die out, and the radio sort of listening figures continue to rise. And it's a very engaging medium. I think it's a very personal medium. I think people, some people enjoy the radio because they feel like it's speaking to them. It's much more personal, I think, than television is. So no, I don't think it's dying out, but I do think it has to change. I do think you can't just offer, a linear radio station or an FM frequency. It's got to be about your online content and about how you enhance the radio content visually as well.
And finally, what advice would you give students who want to make it in the radio industry?
I think my advice is persistence. Don't be put off by rejection letters, because I got quite a few to start with. I ended up working at a commercial radio station in Stoke-on-Trent, Signal Radio, for 6 months for no money. Be prepared to not earn a lot to start with. And I think decide the area that you particularly want to go into and target it very heavily. So if you want to, if you're more on the sort of journalist bent and it's radio news that you want to do, then you've just got to hit as many radio newsrooms as you can and try and get work experience and get your foot in the door that way. I mean, I was very lucky in that when I was at university, there were 4 or 5 media courses in the whole country. Now, every university's got a media course, so I think it's much tougher for media students coming out now than it was for me 20 years ago. It's a lot harder, but it's persistence. Don't be put off, and be prepared to roll your sleeves up and do some of the dirty work. If it is making tea and filing scripts or whatever it is, you're probably going to have to need to do that unless you're incredibly lucky and you land on your feet.